instinctive spirit of the warrior in battle. In the United States military, the newest members of the warrior tradition are the U.S. Navy SEALs. The modern SEAL is a product of 50 years of ocean and freshwater battlefields. Along with their special boat units, SEALs operate in near total secrecy from public view and are among the most respected and feared special forces in the world. For the first time, outside cameras were permitted to document SEAL training and field operations throughout the world. Despite some restrictions, the events pictured here are accurate representations of present-day SEAL training and military capabilities. With over 144 sovereign countries accessible from sea, the U.S. Navy SEALs are designed to be a part of a silent option for U.S. foreign policy as the 21st century approaches. The SEAL name is derived from their capacity to operate at sea, in the air, and on land. But it is their ability to work underwater that separates SEALs from any other military unit in the world. Their experience with the unforgiving and unpredictable ocean shapes their identity and is the basis for their first rule of combat. The most efficient movement is the silent one.
A SEAL is on it, in it, under it, 1 foot in and 1 foot out, right in the middle of surf zone in the worst of all conditions, in the dark and the cold. And it's a tough operational environment. But the idea is to come from sea and to get back to sea. And that's very difficult to do.
Whenever a SEAL gets in trouble, he goes to the water. That's the thing that sets us apart. And if we get in the water, then we feel we have an advantage.
The SEALs were created in 1962, descendants of the famous underwater demolition teams of Korea and World War II. Vietnam was their first action. This war was to be fought using traditional military tactics, which called for superiority in numbers and equipment to ensure victory. Although this conventional approach ultimately failed on the battlefield, Vietnam became a watershed for modern special operations there.
Might put some special ops mission next.
SEALs were brutally effective in adapting themselves to the situation.
During Vietnam, they used to be called the men with green faces because, according to the Viet Cong, they seemed to rise out of the ground, out of nowhere, with green camouflage paint to kill off VC. They were as terrifying as the VC were. In fact, it was the one war where the U.S. government fought fire with fire.
Sitting 6 or 8 hours in the water on a canal waiting for some VC to come driving by in a sampan so you can grease it. That got old in a hurry. And for 2 reasons. One, there's not a lot of fun sitting in the water 6 to 8 hours. And two, you weren't always sure who you were shooting. The legacy of Vietnam was a lot of people saw us as just that, hunters and killers. Because that's what we did, and that's what we were paid to do. But to be quite honest, the most successful Vietnam operations didn't involve killing at all, it involved capturing. But killing was part of it, you can't get around it. We kept adapting, and in a sense, I guess you could say, that we did become a lot more like the VC than the VC themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why we were so damn successful.
The ideal SEAL strategy is to win without fighting a pitched battle, accomplishing the most destruction with a minimal amount of effort. Their attack relies on intense violence and the impact of shock force to create a temporary appearance of superior strength. In any fight, it is essential that they first stun their target with an all-out fury, then quickly fade away in the confusion. Moments in combat, men must overcome conditions and misery they could never have imagined. For SEALs operating far from the protection of the main force, the difference between living and dying is measured in seconds. In this particular maneuver, called a center peel, a SEAL squad uses live ammunition while practicing a coordinated move-and-shoot maneuver. Despite the appearance of overwhelming firepower, an 8-man squad's rate of fire is limited by the amount of ammunition they carry, often not more than 4,000 rounds.
SEALs are not main force units. We don't have civil action teams. We can't come in and build churches and paint schools and do all those kind of things around the orphanages and stuff. Usually when they send us, it's a hot target and we're there to take it out. Take it, Tracy! We'll stay within the confines of humanity, hopefully. But it's a dirty business, and the three things come into play. We have to be decisive, we have to be aggressive, and most importantly, we have to be ruthless. There's just not enough of us normally, and when we get there, we have to take care of business.
And if we're going to be described as bad dudes, we certainly can live up to that reputation in a tactical sense. We're highly trained, extremely aggressive, extremely bright young men, absolutely fearless in a tactical sense. And if that's the definition of a bad dude, they certainly fall within that definition.
Before Vietnam, and in the immediate years following, conventional military wisdom held that special operations forces could never affect the outcome of any conflict. This belief has been reassessed, however, in the face of two historical occurrences: the rise of international terrorism and the military collapse of the Soviet Union. As the emerging pattern of smaller localized world conflicts brought a timeliness for their unconventional methods, SEALs have continued their training in sabotage and surprise precision attacks, which sometimes could include civilian targets.
It is a different duty, but I think it's a necessary one. But, you know, some jobs are dirty, and you need the dirty individuals to do the dirty job. And that's pretty much what SEALs are. The jobs that no one wants, what we're going to get.
I suppose there are those that are the brain dead ones that go strictly by the book, and that's the way I would put it. The book is a guide. The book is there. It's kind of like the Bible. It's interpreted. You interpret the book and apply it in the best way you see fit. It's a good guide, and I'm certainly not a by-the-book man. Some issues I am when it comes to discipline, accountability, things of that nature.
Few forces in the world have the training to resist a SEAL surprise attack. Compact in size and heavily armed, a 16-man SEAL platoon will attack under any circumstances and can project a killing power far in excess of its physical size. In a matter of minutes, these specially trained forces can overcome an objective with aggressive techniques like fast roping, landing onto their target, ready to shoot in seconds. SEAL training and preparation enabled them to be ready for the missions they were assigned in the Gulf War. In Operation Desert Storm, the Naval Special Warfare units in country numbered less than 300 people. Only 60 were SEALs. During the Gulf War, the SEALs performed many different tasks, such as detonating floating mines and inspecting shipping in the Persian Gulf. But their primary mission was to scout the beaches of Kuwait, charting them for possible invasion routes, for an invasion that ultimately never happened.
We haven't had an amphibious operation, a major one, since Incheon during the Korean War. We did in the Persian Gulf. So the SEALs operation there was to launch a feint maneuver, pretend that there were Marines landing on the coast of Kuwait when there really wasn't.
In a bold feint to the Iraqi right flank, 6 SEALs swam 500 yards onto a Kuwaiti beach in the early hours of D-Day for Desert Storm. Hiding in the shallow surf, they rigged a series of explosives which went off on a staggered timeline, creating the impression that an amphibious invasion was underway. This diversion succeeded in tying up a division of Iraqi soldiers. Another Gulf War victory was achieved when a 4-man SEAL element captured a strongly fortified oil rig occupied by 23 Iraqi soldiers. Notwithstanding their success in working alongside main force units, the SEAL strength remains in their ability to act independently. Unlike conventional troops, who are trained to bring massive firepower onto a target, often indiscriminately, SEALs avoid any killing which might compromise the safety of their small force and jeopardize the success of their mission.
Cut! Yeah, got him. Tango cover neutralized! Got room clear! Get up! All right, we're out here. Coming up! Room clear!
Firehawk, this is Predator, standing by for extraction. I mark, you identify, over.
There is no glamour or mystery about preparing for war. For SEALs, it's a work ethic. Platoon life is built around maintaining a high state of readiness. The SEALs know that the winners in wartime are the ones most prepared to react.
They know we're a pretty high-speed bunch, and we're at risk a lot. We go in harm's way a lot. Hell, our daily routine is harm's way, for that matter. When you're practicing, when you're training, some people crowd the lower end of the margins. They stay down to 25, 30%. I think we ought to be training up here 90 to 100%, really hanging it out as far as we can hang it out without getting it cut off, so to speak. Because when you go into combat, it goes to 150% straight away, and you can't really train for that. You can only train close to it.
Every military unit is rated for its strategic value to the overall battlefield strategy. One advantage for SEAL units is their proficiency in reaching a destination quickly and undetected. SEAL teams employ a wide selection of different weapons designed to maximize their value of mobility and small size. This is the Desert Patrol Vehicle, or DPV, used for traveling long distances on the ground. Designed to be airlifted to a forward staging area and then driven to its target, the DPV carries heavy weapons and drives with the speed and durability of a Baja racing car. The cars carry a crew of 3 men each, and in the side basket, either a passenger or extra fuel bladders to increase range. These special fuel bladders, along with the racing tires, are self-sealing and can withstand a direct hit by a .50 caliber round without deflating or exploding. With an extended range of 600 miles on the ground, the desert patrol vehicles can remain camouflaged and hidden deep inside enemy territory to report back on enemy troop movements or provide fire support for raids on small fixed targets.
What we try to do is drive the car as easy as we possibly can, getting to the target and from the target. So if something happens and we do have to use the full extent of the car's capabilities, then we have a lot of car left over. If we were to drive it hard and to, wide open everywhere we went, then we'd use up the car before we got the target, and there's a chance we may not be able to get back. So we just cruise as easy as we possibly can, making good time, of course, but when it comes time to put the hammer down, we got a fresh car, we can go like hell. What we have here is a passenger seat, or the navigator seat as we call it, and he has his choice of weapons he can take with him depending on the mission. This here is a Mark 19, which is a 40mm grenade launcher, and we normally carry about 200 rounds for the lower gun here when we're using a Mark 19. The top weapon here is a 50 cal machine gun. This weapon here shoots a 50 caliber bullet, and that's more of our long range weapon. And that one will really reach out there and touch them. And as you can see, we have a lot of firepower, much more than just 10 or 15 SEALs can carry in. When you start talking 50 cal Mark 19, you're laying down a lot of firepower. Fire! And it's pretty impressive when you see these guns go off on this thing.
Traveling over the water's surface remains the most efficient and effective maritime method to take SEALs to and from their target. These high-speed boats, called HSBs, are one of several different sized vessels operated by the SEALs Special Boat Units. The HSB carries a crew of 3 and can carry a SEAL squad and their equipment long distances at sustained speeds of 70 miles per hour. Powerful open water racing boats, they can be transported by ship or plane closer to the target, increasing operational range.
SDV, I think, is what they're going to be doing.
As SEAL teams move through water, the problems of dehydration, cold, underwater navigation, and avoiding detection multiply in difficulty as the distances increase. Swimming to and from a target becomes a mixture of planning, attitude, physical conditioning, and luck. The submarine is essential for getting SEALs to destinations throughout the world. These submarines are equipped to carry the dry deck shelter, a special underwater housing attached to the hull. The DDS contains the SEALs' Zodiac rafts, or their larger mini-submarines, known as swimmer delivery vehicles, or SDVs. Launching SEALs from a submarine, commonly referred to as locking out, is a time-consuming and complex undertaking. A difficult task under good conditions, performing this job at night and in cold water requires an emotional patience beyond the ordinary.
In the North Atlantic, for example, it's freezing cold. You're making the transition from a very cold, wet environment to a dry, cold environment. That in and of itself can take your life in a very short period of time. Should your suit become penetrated or your gear gets wet, you can't stay dry, you're in trouble. You're in real serious trouble.
Launching a swimmer delivery vehicle to the target could require SEALs to remain underwater for hours. Every drop in degree of water temperature corresponds to a rise in degree of difficulty for survival. Wearing bulky dry suits and 50 pounds of extra insulation affects every movement. Simple communication between teammates becomes difficult. Of all the SEAL weapons and tactics, the SDV is the hardest for enemies to defend against. Top secret as to its technical capabilities, this mini-submarine can carry explosives into a harbor or inland waterway, positioning them to be detonated at any given time. Despite the demands of SDV operations, the swimmer delivery vehicle remains the most important and potent offensive capability the SEALs have. SEAL platoon on a land warfare mission will carry 4 M60 light machine guns. The other men will arm themselves with either M14 rifles or AR-15 carbines, mounted with a 40mm grenade launcher. This grenade launcher can destroy machine gun nests, enemy vehicles, and saturate the target with high explosive rounds that send fragments flying at 3,000 feet per second.
48.
Taken in combination, the armament and initial firepower of a SEAL platoon equals that of a 100-man company of regular infantry.
This is the M60E3 light machine gun. It's a belt-fed, gas-operated, air-cooled, fully automatic weapon that fires at 550 rounds per minute. A Navy SEAL handles this weapon by himself and can carry anywhere between 400 and 1,000 rounds. Normally on patrol with this weapon, it's held low at the hip. But when you have to fire it, you bring it right up and fire it from the shoulder. You'll see a lot of guys in Hollywood movies holding it down at the hip, kind of just leaning back and shooting it. It doesn't work that way. The weapon can be accurately employed as a rifle just by firing it from the shoulder. There isn't any other Special Forces units that carries a major caliber weapon like this and employs it in such a fashion. There are a lot of stories of these weapons firing into the thousands of rounds without the barrels being changed, turning white hot, so you can actually see the projectiles traveling down the bore, wearing out the rifling. But the weapon keeps on firing, and the enemy just keeps on dying. And that's why we basically carry this weapon, to destroy the enemy, to lay down an incredible hail of lead that's necessary to terminate our foes.
The SEAL trademark is to strike a target in merciless fashion. The ambush of an unsuspecting opponent may appear cold-blooded to some, but its purpose is not just to destroy, but to demoralize an opponent. For the SEAL, how, when, and where he kills his enemy is often as important as the actual destruction of the target itself.
It's like the samurai. If the guy aspires to be a SEAL, he's aspiring to be something like a samurai. Disciplined and controlled. Not some lethal weapon that we unleash like a Rambo. It's teamwork.
Our next weapon is Macmillan Model M88 50 caliber sniper rifle. This weapon here fires the same 50 caliber cartridge used in the Browning M2 heavy machine gun. This weapon here is accurate on hard targets in excess of 2,000 yards. And that's the way the weapon is most likely employed.
Oh,
we
shit.
can take out aircraft parked on a runway. We can take out a generator. We can take out the engine block of a vehicle with this weapon here, firing a high explosive armor-piercing incendiary projectile.
The range and power of the Macmillan M88 was used by SEAL sniper teams in Somalia to successfully cover UN forces and prevent casualties.
Rounds were falling all over the outside of our bunker, but we couldn't catch the individuals who were doing it. They would pop up on a rooftop, fire at us, and then disappear. And that was getting, frankly, pretty annoying. So when we saw a guy actually on the sites getting ready to fire his weapon in our direction, we made the call and went ahead and took the shot. I dumped him. The next guy, he opened up on us with a lightweight machine gun. We were definitely outgunned. I swung my crosshairs over onto his muzzle flash, set up on it, and capped off the shot. When I came back up, his gun was spilled over the front of the sandbags, and he was spilt out the backside. Somali ran across my field of view with an RPG. I took a shot at him, and I got him just before he launched the RPG. I mean, he was on his knees, eyes at the sight when the round hit him. They were 700-800 yards away. I couldn't see their total facial expressions, but I know they weren't happy. We're not out there to kill women and children. You don't want to do that, but you have to get the guy that's trying to kill U.S. forces. One shot, one kill. The psychological value that has, it's effective.
man's brain turns into water and pours out his ears, and all he goes on is instinct. For every soldier, fear is an enemy.
People have said they were scared. You can say you're scared. Now, if you say you're scared and you won't do it, then you're in the wrong line of work. I think fear is good. I think each fear level that you reach, you're closer to your goal. But getting in a platoon, you need to control the fear, because fear is good because it keeps you smart and keeps you from being hurt.
No SEAL has ever surrendered or been captured. No SEAL has ever been left behind by his comrades. To an operator, the only thing worse than losing is quitting.
Hell yeah.
It comes from a doctrine.
How's it going, Matthew?
Since one of the teams, and that doctrine is this: is that we cannot afford the luxury of a quitter. We can't do that. If we're out in the field and we're on an actual mission, and somebody says, "Hey, I'm tired of this. I want to go home," you can't afford that. It's not part of the plan.
The reality is you have a bunch of guys who just want to be really, really good at their jobs. They hate to lose. You'll see that in everything they do. I mean, you could play friggin' hopscotch and it would turn violent. SEALs played it just because one team would be losing. It pays to be a winner, just like they say in Buds.
Officially called Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, it's better known simply as BUDS, an all-volunteer 6-month training course that every officer
Sorry, I was not looking at my cell. I was paying attention to
military training. For every 1,000 men who apply to become a SEAL, less than 15%
I was paying attention to the SEALs, man. I tried just putting that on myself.
During the 25-week course that follows, 70% or more of the original students who begin BUDS will quit or be failed.
1, 2, 3, 4. We're waiting on you back there, Missy.
People are sometimes shocked about what they see when it comes to BUDS training. People have to understand that what we're trying to do here is we're getting an individual ready to go to war.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Recover, Governor.
BUDS is a kick in the nuts. That's about what BUDS is. BUDS is an initiation. BUDS is to find out if you need to be here or not need to be here.
9, 8, 9, 30.
Well, the reason that we're hard on them is because the job is hard. This is nothing like what happens in the real world. So if you at all are shocked by some of the stuff that goes on, or how stringent some of the days are, and you've got to realize that where we go and the way and the places that we operate in demand more out of us than what we can provide here in training.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of the things that may look to the American public very sensational, by having hands and feet tied in the swimming pool, or carrying logs around for 4 hours over their heads. The sense of the whole training is to evoke from him this tremendous dedication, this great inner strength, which is there, and which he needs to tap and to demonstrate under extremely stressful conditions.
All SEAL instruction is preparation for the actual moments of battle, when fear can paralyze a man's ability to react in a combat situation. The obstacle course exposes weakness and indecision. Although this training is designed to foster competition and reward aggressiveness, every experienced SEAL operator believes that teamwork equals survival. The students who pass BUDS training will be those who remain in control and work together, no matter the conditions, no matter the fear. This water is so cold it shocks a man's breath away. Every man's ability to endure cold must be unquestionable. Being cold and wet makes minutes seem like hours. It can drive a person insane with misery and make him question his commitment to becoming a SEAL.
Cold is probably one of the primary reasons people drop out of training, because it's an incredible demoralizer. I mean, if you're cold and wet, I mean, you just don't want to do anything. The last thing you want to do is get any cold. If you're constantly cold and constantly wet, I mean, it really has an impact on everything you do. We're cold and wet. We work in water, and that's why we have an emphasis on that so much. But you have to function. I mean, you have to keep going. You have to keep doing what you're doing. It's easy to say I quit. You know, we don't quit in this business.
What's your problem, Mr. Knoll? Why don't you want to be here? Hell, we need a simulated combat scenario, and you're failing. To put you in a real situation, you're going to kill people. So you've got to put out...
Special operations forces are sports cars, for example. They're a real high-speed, a rail job, a dragster, for example. And they have to be honed to a lot finer sharpness. It takes a lot to get a man there. If they want Porsches and dragsters in the inventory to go out and do the things that this nation needs done that cannot employ main force units, then they're just going to have to pay the price.
Getting up! Claire! Are you tired, Galvo?
The preparation for close quarter battle, or CQB, reveals the SEAL philosophy in the short version.
We do whatever we have to do to meet with success and to make our contribution to the effort. And whatever it takes to do that, we're going to do that. Got to kill them part, make them along with it. That's how it goes.
If the Navy thinks we're bad dudes, that's just great. That's what we want them to think. In a serious vein, I think that you will find among the senior military leadership today that most of them view us as very quiet professionals that carry tremendous capacity for a small unit. But, and the bottom line is, when they do conduct an operation, are in fact bad dudes in a very tactical sense.
For CQB, the SEALs use the Navy version of the MP5 submachine gun. Small and light, this weapon is employed by anti-terrorist and special reaction forces throughout the world.
Stand down, stand down, stand down, stand down. Clear left, clear right. All clear. Okay, stop what you got. Look where you're at, Mark.
In the world of the terrorist, there are no rules. Anyone, everywhere is a target. In the world of counterterrorism, however, the rules never change. Fast is slow, slow is quick. Front sight focus, trigger squeeze, discipline and control.
Okay, let's go ahead and do it again. This is probably one of the most dangerous things that we have to go through. During this, each person has to be thinking on his own.
Clear left, clear right. All clear, coming out.
Primarily, what we're looking for is that guys can get into the room quickly, down their walls, to where they can engage these targets here and get good kill shots high in the chest or up in the forehead area, and also identify whether they have a gun or they don't have a gun.
So I think that a lot of people come through here and they think, well, you know, this training is fun. This is going to be great. We're going to get out in the sand and the surf and have a great time. The thing that we try to emphasize here is don't lose sight of the big picture. And the big picture is that this is a combat unit, and that someday you may be called on to use all those skills that you've been developing in an actual situation.
Okay, we're going to start going live now. And what that means is you really have to concentrate on that muzzle discipline. We're going to slap you in the back of the ear every time we see a muzzle sweep somebody's head. I want to see slow movement. Going live fire for the first time, slow, walk slow. The reason that we're looking for safety is this goes real quick and it takes a lot of thinking. If a guy happens not to think, or he's worried about other things, he may sweep a guy's head with his muzzle or his legs with a muzzle.
Clear right, clear left. All clear, all clear, coming out.
He swept his head bad. What we're looking for is to make sure he's got good muzzle discipline, that the person's head in front of him is clear before he comes down on target, and as he sweeps, he's aware enough to where he doesn't sweep into another guy's weapon or another body.
Everybody ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, let's kill him.
This is a real thinking man's game because there's so many things to think about.
Yeah.
muzzle
There is a
control,
lot of
target
things to think about
discrimination,
right there.
front sight focus. You want certain things to be involuntary. One thing you don't want involuntary is pulling that trigger. Pulling the trigger, it has to be something that is sure. You have to know when you pull that trigger, because if you involuntarily pull the trigger without actually thinking, you end up shooting the wrong person. You're in a room that's no bigger than, 10 foot by 10 foot in most cases, and you got 4 guys in there shooting right next to you. One slip, and it's over.
Parachuting might be the most dangerous insertion method employed by the SEALs. While high-altitude, low-opening military freefall, called a halo, is a potentially devastating means of attack, one mistake in concentration while falling through the sky at 125 miles per hour, and the moment of truth is short.
One of the real dangers, I think, for the SEALs is their own image of themselves as almost invincible. They revel in doing things that you would say any sane person won't do, jumping out of an airplane at 35,000 feet in the night and then not opening your parachute until you're almost on the ground.
Yeah.
What we can do is jump out at altitude of 25,000 feet, 8 or 9 miles away, come in using a compass very quietly and land within 25 yards of a target with 14 or 15 people. It just gives us another capability of getting into some place where it's tight. The job is very dangerous. You're talking high altitude, high winds, becoming lost, having malfunctions underneath your canopy. So many things can go wrong.
This SEAL platoon and their 2 stacked Zodiac rafts, called a double duck, will use static-line parachutes to be airdropped at sea from altitudes of less than 3,000 feet. Constantly preparing for war during peacetime is the ultimate challenge for SEAL leaders, but overestimating capabilities can be an inherent danger for aggressive men.
The last time we did a parachute-type insertion in wartime or in a conflict was in Grenada, and we lost 4 SEALs. They were very aggressive. They stormed out in some pretty severe conditions, and they did not survive it. Some people would say probably in that case they were overly aggressive. I'm not going to sit here, I wasn't on the ramp, I didn't make the decision. They paid the ultimate price for their aggressiveness and their decisiveness in that particular matter.
The thing that really is distinctive about Grenada is that it was done very rapidly. There was a sudden call from the White House that we want to go down and rescue those medical students. They were prepared for a day drop into a fairly benign sea. They were dropped at night into a very stormy sea. 4 of the men drowned, and it just should never have happened.
Wow. The 4 men who died were members of a specially trained SEAL unit assigned to the invasion. Their platoon never reached its objective of marking the airfield for an airborne invasion. 2 other SEAL platoons were to rescue hostages at the governor's mansion and capture the island's only radio station. At the governor's house, enemy fire shot down 2 helicopters and prevented a 3rd from landing. Once inside the mansion, this platoon was surrounded by armored vehicles and Cuban troops. 1 SEAL sniper was credited with 17 to 22 enemy kills during the night, which kept the Cubans from overrunning the house. Meanwhile, the 2nd platoon successfully destroyed the radio station, but was forced to escape by swimming out to sea, with several of their men seriously wounded.
Oh, shit.
The situation deteriorated quickly in Grenada, and it was a hastily planned, hastily executed operation that had problems, no doubt. There was a chain of command that never exercised together before, much less fought together. What we ran into was more than we expected.
This tendency to accept missions outside of their capabilities reappeared in Operation Just Cause in Panama in 1989. For the SEALs, it ended in a disaster. 4 men dead, 8 men badly wounded. The shockwave over those casualties still echoes inside the SEAL ranks to this day.
When SEALs go in harm's way and SEALs get hurt, as they would in any small family, everyone feels it because everyone knows everyone else. And when something goes wrong, you want to know why. Because our business is the business of sneaking up and taking care of business and going home. Not a business of fighting anybody on a lengthy scale, or definitely not in the business of dying.
There were 2 SEAL missions in the Panama invasion. The first, to swim across the Panama Canal and destroy 2 enemy patrol boats. The second, to seize Patia Airfield, where Manuel Noriega had a jet plane ready for his escape. The original plan called for a SEAL platoon to use snipers to cover the hangar. But that plan was changed, and the SEAL force grew to 5 times their normal operating size. Arriving at the airfield in rubber boats, SEALs were spotted, and as they approached the hangar, the hunters became the hunted.
The Panamanian officer walked out in front of Noriega's hangar and said, "What are you Americans doing here?" And the Americans said to him, "Put your weapons down." And the Panamanian officer replied, "You should not be running exercises here. This is very dangerous." And shortly thereafter, a fire broke out, initiated by the Panamanian.
The repercussions of this calamity within the SEAL community continue to fuel heated debate about the proper use of their force in the future.
What you found, for example, in Panama was inter-service rivalries there getting in the way of what the best unit was to take a particular operation. And in the case of the airport at Patia, Army Rangers take down airports, not Navy SEALs.
You've got all these guys just trained right up to the edge of perfection, and they want to show what they can do. It was a case of they had a war and everybody wanted to come.
Wow. Isn't that fucking something?
If the Special Operations Forces are at the point of the military sword, the Navy SEALs consider themselves the tip of the blade. And the tip is the most vulnerable. With only an estimated 2,500 SEAL operators, the teams ultimately rely on the individual and his dedication to win as the decisive advantage between survival and death.
The fundamental missions haven't changed. Give a SEAL a pair of swim fins and his K-bar knife and a weapon of some type, and he'd still be able to prosecute a mission of some level, because that's how we started, and we still basically are a very simple unit. We do have a lot of new technology, which has enabled us to do many more things, but the essence is relying on the individual for the real combat effectiveness.
Yeah.
The SEALs have served in every U.S. military action since Vietnam. Under an operational designation officially described as conflicts other than war, they remain active in operations that often go unreported. It is a job that requires living in secrecy and maintaining distance from the public.
I'm not being paid to go hang out at the beach. I'm being trained to do a job. May not be going to war. May not ever go to war or do anything cool again, but I mean, they're paying me that just in case it might happen. Now, the minute I say, no, I'm not going to do it, then I'm a loser. I mean, then I need to leave. I need to leave with my head down.
We spend many years of our lives training and preparing for war. Hopefully there'll be peace, because any true warrior wishes for peace. But in the event of a war, we're fully dedicated to go out there and do our best job to fight it. All of us want to have a good career and do the best job we can and have the American dream just like anybody else. We're not a bunch of mindless machines bent on killing people. We do a job for America just like anybody else, just like a policeman, just like a fireman, and we're proud of it.
The personal price for a career on the teams can be steep. Divorce rates among the all-male units are high. The operational backbone for this small community comes primarily from the enlisted men, not the officers. Among themselves, individual respect is earned solely on an operator's reputation as a warrior. Those who achieve this unspoken notoriety are known as meat eaters. Their work
killing is certainly a very negative word in our society. That word, certainly in the warrior caste, needs to be inculcated into their mind. And you have to be at ease with that, because that is the byproduct. I try to keep myself in neutral when it comes to that. I derive no pleasure nor sorrow. Just stay neutral. Move through the target and move on and carry on with your life. And don't look back. Don't dwell on it. I never got the shakes. Have no regrets. Have no regrets. I wish I'd had a few more targets to assault, to be very truthful with you.
You know, we get job satisfaction just like anybody else. We're not looking for 9-to-5 jobs here. You know, we're looking for maybe that call that's going to come in the middle of the night and say, hey, you know, come into work. It's time to do your thing.
A story is told of a Buds class standing at attention in front of a large sand berm. Suddenly, one of the SEAL instructors quietly climbed to the top of the berm. There, in full view of the class, he shielded his eyes from the sun and stared out to sea, searching the entire horizon from side to side. When he finished, he walked down the hill and stood in front of the class. "Does anyone know what I'm looking for?" he asked. No one replied. He paused before he spoke. "I'm looking for a war."
Good shit, man. The silent one. I like this. What we're gonna watch? Oh, it's not done yet. In fact, I think it's on one more time, actually.
Emphasize here is don't lose sight of the big picture, and the big picture is that this is a combat unit, and that someday you may be called on to use all those skills that you've been developing in an actual situation.
Okay, we're going to start going live now, and what that means is you really have to concentrate on that muzzle discipline. We're going to slap you in the back of the ear every time we see a muzzle sweep somebody's head. I want to see slow movement. Going live fire for the first time, slow, walk slow. The reason that we're looking for safety is this goes real quick and takes a lot of thinking. If a guy happens not to think, or he's worried about other things, he may sweep a guy's head with his muzzle, or his legs with a muzzle. Clear right, clear left, all clear, coming out. He swept his head bad. What we're looking for is to make sure he's got good muzzle discipline, that the person's head in front of him is clear before he comes down on target. And as he sweeps, he's aware enough to where he doesn't sweep into another guy's weapon or another body. Everybody ready to go? Yeah. All right. Let's go. This is a real thinking man's game, because there's so many things to think about. Think about muzzle control, target discrimination, front sight focus. You want certain things to be involuntary. One thing you don't want involuntary is pulling that trigger. Pulling the trigger, it has to be something that is sure. You have to know when you pull that trigger, because if you involuntarily pull the trigger without actually thinking, you end up shooting the wrong person. You're in a room that's no bigger than, 10 foot by 10 foot in most cases, and you got 4 guys in there shooting right next to you. One slip, and it's over.
Parachuting might be the most dangerous insertion method employed by the SEALs, while high-altitude, low-opening military freefall, called a halo, is a potentially devastating means of attack. One mistake in concentration while falling through the sky at 125 miles per hour, and a moment of truth is short.
One of the real dangers, I think, for the SEALs is their own image of themselves as almost invincible. They revel in doing things that you would say any sane person won't do, jumping out of an airplane at 35,000 feet in height and then not opening your parachute until you're almost on the ground.
What we can do is jump out at altitude of 25,000 feet, 8 or 9 miles away, come in using a compass very quietly and land within 25 yards of a target with 14 or 15 people. It just gives us another capability of getting into some place where it's tight. The job is very dangerous. You're talking high altitudes, high winds, becoming lost, having malfunctions underneath your canopy. So many things can go wrong.
This SEAL platoon and their 2 stacked Zodiac rafts, called a double duck, will use static line parachutes to be airdropped at sea from altitudes of less than 3,000 feet. Constantly preparing for war during peacetime is the ultimate challenge for SEAL leaders, but overestimating capabilities can be an inherent danger for aggressive men.
The last time we did a parachute-type insertion in wartime or in a conflict was in Grenada, and we lost 4 SEALs. They were very aggressive. They stormed out in some pretty severe conditions, and they did not survive it. Some people would say probably in that case they were overly aggressive. I'm not going to sit here. I wasn't on the ramp. I didn't make the decision. They paid the ultimate price for their aggressiveness and their decisiveness in that particular matter.
The thing that really is distinctive about Grenada is that it was done very rapidly. There was a sudden call from the White House that we want to go down and rescue those medical students. They were prepared for a day drop into a fairly benign sea. They were dropped at night into a very stormy sea. 4 of the men drowned, and it just should never have happened.
The 4 men
probably drowned
members of a specially trained
because of their parachute or something. Couldn't stay above the water. Very stormy.
Reached its objective of marking the airfield for an airborne invasion. 2 other SEAL platoons were to rescue hostages at the governor's mansion and capture the island's only radio station. At the governor's house, enemy fire shot down.
The following is an unscripted war game carried out by highly trained military operators. Attempting these actions without proper safety supervision and training could result in severe injury or death. 1 elite soldier. Right now, these guys are making a delivery of these weapons.
Stay right there. Stay right there.
On a covert mission. They're sending photos of the nav charge.
Whiskey, it looks like the target's on American soil.
Let's move. Against the highly trained opposition force.
Early warning activations have been tripped and pursue the tango.
In a test of military skills and tactics. Will he succeed?
This is gonna be a bad guy. He's gonna shoot and kill me.
Few have ever known the heart-stopping intensity of sighting down the barrel of an M4 on a covert military operation. Now, see it through the eyes of Spec Ops veteran Will Willis as he competes against combat-hardened opposition in the harshest environments. With 15 years' experience as an operator, he'll need it all to complete his special ops mission.
Yeah, this is a fucking badass TV show. This is one of my favorite ones.
Will Willis is beginning a 12-hour simulated mission against a band of pirates in a foreign port.
Whiskey, this is Command Central. Prepare for mission brief, over.
Roger that, Command Central to Whiskey, go ahead. Will is monitored and guided on the mission by Marine Master Sergeant Tom Minder, who follows his progress from inside a remote command center.
Whiskey, a band of heavily armed mercenaries has hijacked a U.S. merchant marine ship and killed the crew. They've also abducted 2 nuclear scientists, and we believe they purchased nuclear material and artillery shells on the black market. Break. They may be using the scientists to create dirty artillery shells that they can fire from the deck guns. Your mission is to board that ship and stop those pirates. Neutralize the deck guns and disable the ship. recon their nav charts, and find out what their intended target is. Finally, rescue the scientists. Good luck, Whiskey.
Roger that. Whiskey, whiskey out. Go.
On this mission, Will Willis faces a formidable opposing force. The Op-4 represent over 30 years of combined combat experience. Chris Withrow, 8 years in the Navy SEALs, and now a SWAT team trainer.
As a pilot, I can do anything I want to do. I've cleared ships before. I know what typical tactics are to come aboard a ship and take it over to move through a ship.
Gen X, 12-year Army veteran, airborne ops, convoy security in Iraq.
There are no rules of engagement. We will shoot to kill. Set one foot on our ship, you're dead.
Carlos Moreno, 4-year Marine veteran, base security in Iraq.
When you're a pirate, you can do whatever you want. It's your birthday. It's your birthday, and I'm gonna have a lot of cake.
Stefan Johnson, Marine combat veteran, wounded in Operation Iraqi Freedom.
If it's a matter of life and death, I'll shoot my own mom. It's not about who you love. When it comes down, it's either me or it's you.
Both sides are armed with military-issue assault weapons, M4s and M16s. They're loaded with simunition, a non-lethal alternative to live ammunition that leaves a visible mark on impact. Available only to military and elite law enforcement, simunition is the closest thing to the real deal. Eye protection must be worn at all times, and in normal training exercises, total head protection is also required. In this conflict, one strike to the torso is a kill shot.
So what I've got here is this rapid diver system. This is going to allow me to swim into my target underwater. The Zodiac's going to drop me off as close as possible. Going to use this thing, scuba in, anchor it underneath the boat. If I need it for exfil, I can jump in the water, use it to get out of there. I've got my weapon-mounted camera right here. It's in a protective covering. It looks back at me. It can look at me. I can also turn it out, and it sees what I see. It's got an aim-point sighting system, one of my favorites, collapsible buttstock. All right, 30-round magazine, fire and simunitions. They hurt like hell, but I'm not getting shot today. I hope.
The Op-4's pirate ship is heavily armed, with death guns fore and aft. It can launch shells over 10 miles. The captured scientists are being held below decks in the machine room. The Op-4 have designed their defense strategy around an anticipated rescue attempt.
I'm expecting a force at least twice the size of the group that I have to access the ship somewhere, either in the bow or the stern. Probably the main objective is to kill scientists, which will funnel them into kind of an ambush.
By closing off as many routes through the ship as possible, Chris intends to funnel the enemy, to force them to take the
Special
only route
Ops
available
Mission
through the engine
Time
room to the ambush
Operation
point.
Pirate Guns.
But Chris is anticipating a large attack force. He doesn't know that his enemy is a lone operator. This tactical error could help Will, but he'll still have to overcome the Op-4 defenses. Carlos and Stefan rig early warning trip grenades on key stairwells and on the bridge. Chris then orders the team to prepare the lower decks for an enemy boarding.
You want to all Op-4. Every hatch you come across that is open, secure it. Just close it.
Roger, what I'm doing with the one down here is I'm putting some noise devices on them so that when the door opens, I can hear something fall and crash, so I know someone's coming through the door. I'll probably do the same thing up there. Over. Nice, Cam. Look at you, got them MacGyvered, right? All right. We want to funnel them where we want them. We want there to be a kill zone so that they only have so many avenues of approach. So right now, we're closing off these doors so that literally the only way they can get here is through the engine room and into the lab.
Alright, so my objective is right over here. I'm going to approach this underwater using my scuba gear. I'm going to use these pilings to hide me as much as I can. Get a little bit close to the objective. This boat is way obvious out here. Just going to wait for things to get a little bit darker.
As night falls, Carlos and Stefan patrol from the crow's nest, the highest point on the ship.
Skinny 2 and 3, I need you to do a complete deck sweep, check all of our assets, check all of the early warning devices. Copy?
2 and 4, that's firm. Route.
Just make sure we're tight, nothing gets through.
I'm gonna head down those stairs. I'm gonna stay in your line of sight. Just cover my 6. Sure.
As Stefan provides cover, Carlos begins his patrol of the rear deck. Looks like he's having a good time. Meanwhile, just a few hundred yards away, Will decides it's finally dark enough to begin the risky infill.
Skinny 3 to Skinny 1. Continue to sweep. All clear so far.
So, I found the fire line on the left side of the ship. And, that's what I'm going to use to gain access to the deck. The mooring lines were like 90 feet long. Somebody'd seen me climbing on it. So, hopefully this works. I got my 9mm with me. And, that's what I'm going to use to defend myself when I get to the top. And, if I, run into any bad guys, my scuba gear will be down here. Jump back down and, swim away. Let's make it happen. Check it out.
In addition to Will's rifle cam, the ship has been outfitted with surveillance cameras that will be able to follow Will's movements as he attempts to complete his mission.
I've got all my gear, my explosives, and my long gun in this waterproof pack on the end of this rope. Gotta pull up fast before somebody sees me. This ship's pretty big, so I pulled into this sling. Need space. Try to give myself a little bit of cover. This is the only thing I have on me right now is my 9mm. I'm gonna get my long gun into action as soon as possible.
As Will preps his gear on the port side near the bow, Carlos is completing his patrol of the rear deck.
Skin 1, Skin 3.
All guns are secured. Moving forward.
Carlos begins sweeping the port side, moving toward the bow and toward Will's hiding spot. But Will is carrying a second pair of eyes.
Got here is a robotic camera. It's just 2 wheels. Now the nice thing about this is that I can just throw this out there or into a hallway or whatever, and then control it from our remote and take a look around things. Let's drive around and see what we can see. Hope they won't see it, but they're a lot less likely to see this thing.
Pretty sweet. Hello, it's like Rainbow Six's fucking little camera.
It's pretty clear up to a certain point. So, let's move. I'm just gonna move up here. I'm gonna grab his little ass and keep going. There he is. Come on.
The path is clear. Will heads toward his first objective, the forward deck gun.
This place is nice and dark up here at the bow. That's where I'm stashing my pack. First spot right there.
Skinny 1, Skinny 3. All clear so far. Continuing forward.
First things first. That's my first objective. Deck gun. Let's get it.
Yeah.
I can totally see this long forward line stretching from there all the way across. So they've booby-trapped this gun.
Carlos reaches Will's infill point and discovers some suspicious signs.
Skinny 1, this is Skinny 3.
Skinny 1, go ahead.
I got water on the deck.
Skinny 1, I copy. Investigate the water.
10-4, that's far.
That's back. I already did check this out. Check this out.
Skinny 1 to Skinny 3.
Have you found anything? Skinny 3 to Skinny 1. Well clear so far.
Skinny 1, I need you up on the bridge as soon as possible. We need overwatch for a shipment we're receiving.
10-4, that's firm.
Looks like he's taking off. Alright. The Op 4 don't know how close they just came to ending Will's mission. They remain unaware that they're facing only one operator and keep their defenses focused on repelling a large invasion force. Alright, that's my first objective. Dead gun. Let's get it. Set the charge on this thing. Charge is planted. It has got a motion sensor, so if anyone touches this thing, boom. And it's a remote detonated charge, and I'll be able to set that off whenever I set this whole thing to go up and set off this whole little party. While Will finishes setting the charge at the bow, Carlos rejoins Stefan up on the crow's nest. Down below, Chris and Jen prep the scientists to receive the delivery of nuclear material.
Hold the other feet, right face.
Chris orders the scientists upstairs to the deck to receive the barrels.
Yourself up the stairwells, any funny motions, I will shoot you. You understand me?
Yes.
Move.
And make sure you announce when you come down so I know to.
Jen stays below, securing the area around the machine room. Lights everywhere. Still the ship in it. Top anyway. He can move more stealthily inside the ship than he can on a brightly lit deck.
SAS Special Air Service 1.
Command Central, this is Whiskey.
Reading you, Whiskey. Send your status.
Operations report follows. I have set the charge on the forward gun. There is a charge on the forward gun. How copy?
Good copy, Whiskey. Getting intel on the target that the pirates plan on hitting has priority. We need to see those maps ASAP. Locate and transmit photos of the maps before you place any additional charges. Over.
Whiskey out. I have to pee really bad. I hate peeing in my wetsuit.
Scientist 1, grab a barrel. Scientist 2, you're going to help guide him down. Pick it up. Go. Back down to the lab. Skinny 1 to Op 4 up on the bridge. Keep an eye on the load on the right-hand side of the ship.
Del 4.
Get move on. Get to work.
While the scientists remove the sealed canisters of radioactive material from the barrels, Chris and Jen patrol the area around the machine room. The these canisters will be the payload for the dirty artillery shells. Meanwhile, Will has no idea how close he actually is to the scientists. He continues to look for a way out of the tack room. He tries to open a hatch.
Chasing after them, it's a no-win situation for me. So our only hope is to suck them in. So far, the plan is working. They've tried breaching that hatch, and I think that was probably one of the weaker doors.
With the noise from the door making things too dangerous, Will decides he has to risk heading back up to the deck. His key objective is to photograph the maps. To do that, he'll need to get to the bridge. I had at least right here. Some kind of trouble I can get into.
SAS Special Air Force #1.
Will reaches the top of the shaft and exits onto the deck.
The deck is the last place that I would
How's it been?
So,
Fuck, I can't spell worth shit, man. Might as well just talk. How's it going?
There he is right there. And the nice thing about this guy is I can just toss him.
He knew right down the stairs is good. The Op 4 aren't using night vision, so they can't see the robot's infrared illuminator.
Okay, looks like there are a couple of Op 4 up there on the crow's nest. Kind of in their blind spot. I think if I slip down behind cover, I could work over the midship without being seen, if I'm lucky.
Will heads aft and makes his way to midship. To get photos of the navigational charts, he'll need to sneak onto the bridge undetected.
Alright. Looking, hey, crawling up to the next level, over the railing. It's kind of a blind spot for these guys, and I want to avoid moving around on traditional pathways. So, let's see how this works out.
I don't know, I like Special Ops Mission. This is one of my favorite TV shows that was back in the day. They should have kept doing them.
Looks
in
like
fact,
I got another tripwire grenade on this door. Let's see if I can defuse it. Oh. Pinched.
Pin is out, and Will must react fast.
Stop the tripwire right there. As we go, we'll cover you. Branches. One of the activists have been tripped and pursued a tango. Sounds like that grenade went off down below. Let's go.
While Will is on the bridge, the Op 4 follow the sound of the grenade, heading right past him down to the deck. Fearing more than one operative is nearby, they move cautiously. The The deception buys Will the precious moments he needs to get a look at the maps.
Sorry, I'm in the damn room. Skinny 1, Skinny 3.
Skinny 1, go ahead.
Two forts on stern wall are still in place. Must have been the one on the bridge we heard go off. I'm gonna go secure the bridge.
Take some photos real quick.
Yeah, he's taking the photos.
So these guys have plans on hitting a target in the U.S. Here's someone coming. Let's go at the back.
Clear.
Finding the door open and the grenade missing, the Op 4 knows someone has been there.
It's inside. He's down for the good. We gotta go on that deck. Head down to the third deck. We gotta go hard and we gotta go fast. All right? Watch my back. Cover my 6. I'm gonna hit it hard. Inside. Ready? Touch back.
Carlos and Stefan believe the intruder is headed below decks to the engine room. They head up the side with the hope of flanking him, but it's a critical error. Will remains on deck, hidden in the quarters below the nav room.
I'm just gonna wait in here. Either they pass me by, or if they open the door, I've got the drop on them.
Skinny 1, this is Skinny 2. We're working our way towards the engine bay. Copy. Once you get to the engine compartment, start securing hatches around you. Copy.
We've been infiltrating these spotted up. You retreat below deck. We're trying to catch up with them now.
Now we're trying to work our way down. Trying to find out if we can squeeze it into the middle.
Hear them heading down the hall. Think they went below decks. Okay, this is probably as safe a spot as any to send those maps to command. Command Center, this is Whiskey. Be advised, I am sending photos of the nav charts from the ship. How copy?
Roger, Whiskey, we are receiving them now. Whiskey, it looks like a terrorist plan on hitting targets on American soil.
You need to set those remaining 2 charges and disable that ship before they can fire their weapons. Over.
Roger that. Whiskey, copies all. Whiskey out. Alright, just keep moving.
Yeah, keep moving.
Let's set those charges and find those scientists.
Having lost Will's trail, Carlos and Stefan return to the Op 4 team and report what they've seen.
How many do we have?
We only had eyes on one.
Only eyes on one?
That's it.
I'm starting to think we're only dealing with 1 or 2 operatives here. Okay, listen up. We have another shipment coming in, so we're gonna go topside.
The Op 4 are receiving a scheduled delivery of ammunition. They decide to use this opportunity to set a trap.
I can guarantee they are not using like one of us is a female. I can guarantee it. Right now, me and one of the guys are going to go and pretend that we're the scientists.
They're gonna go up on deck with a box containing their weapons. Hopefully they'll be seen by our opponents. They're gonna take the opportunity to rescue 2 scientists. When they do, they're gonna be engaged, and the 2 undercovers are gonna take care of business.
The Op 4 move out. Behind them, Chris and Stefan move into position.
I think I hear those guys right off the green. Let's go take a look.
Will finds a hiding spot where he can observe the activity.
Right now, these guys are making a delivery of these weapons. It's just guys in yellow hazmat suits. It doesn't look like they're a threat. I didn't see any weapons. What to do? Could be rescue time. I don't see the Op 4 escort. I mean, they should be escorted, right?
taking them down into this little room here. I've definitely got some people moving materials. The decoy was a good tactic, but Will's instincts foiled the plan.
They didn't fall for the scientist trick. So they probably noticed the body language, you know, not the fear type, but the strong body language, the way they walk, the way they carry themselves. So they probably figured that out real quick.
Get to work. Start doing what you need to do. Start constructing the device right now.
Oh,
the scientists begin the final assembly, taking the radioactive material and inserting it into the shells. Chris and Jen stay back to guard the scientists, while Carlos and Stefan move out to conduct a deck sweep. They head up toward the deck and move toward the aft exit, but Will is on the upper deck, just above them.
Watch my six, okay? On three. Here's somebody. They're there.
Oh, there we go.
Will has two Op-4 exposed and on the run. He may never have a better chance. He closes in for the kill, but he's on the other side of the ship and can't get a clear shot.
Please taking fire. Shots fired.
Okay, where is fire coming from?
Tango's on the bridge. What you see? I didn't see. I'm gonna go up and get a bird's eye of the Tango. Go, I'll cover.
Carlos climbs to the upper deck to take the high ground. Stefan holds his position.
Will
is working his way
gets the guy to the left side. Yep, lower deck.
Stay right there. Stay right there.
With Stefan down and no line of sight to Will, Carlos takes cover on the upper deck.
Take your hands off the weapon.
You're down, you got it?
I have no idea where that second guy went. I think he might have just bugged out. I don't know. I'm just gonna flip these stairs to my position. Maybe I can spot him.
Oh shit.
I swear to God, I don't know how I missed. I don't know how he missed. Lost my comm. Gotta reestablish contact with my team.
I probably shot 30 freaking rounds between my pistol and my rifle. I didn't hit the guy one time. Unbelievable. Now, I have no idea. Now, pretty much guarantee you he's going to get his compadres. So it's about time for me to place these last two charges, find those scientists, get the hell out of here.
Skinny 1, Skinny 2 and 3 coming over. Skinny 1 to Skinny 2 and 3 coming over.
Without his radio, Carlos is cut off. He works his way toward the others cautiously. He has no idea where the enemy is, or if the rest of his team has been hit as well.
Good
Skinny
stream.
2 and 3, come in, over.
Yeah, man,
In
for
the
sure.
engine room, the scientists have completed their work and are packing up the ammo cases.
Skinny 4, come here. I'm gonna assume Skinny 2 and 3 are dead. We don't have the manpower to sit here
For sure.
more time.
We want to.
We're gonna take care of them right now. Go get their attention. Skinny 2 and 3, come in, over.
Hey,
Roger
keep our
that.
up. Make sure it's sealed shut. Double check it.
Hey, you two. Stand up. I need to get out of here right now. I've had enough of this waiting around. We're gonna go up top and track these guys down.
Hunting for the Op-4 cost Will valuable time, and it cost the scientists their lives.
Right, placing another charge on the aft deck gun. I'm pretty sure that this is the loading mechanism. So what I'm gonna do here, place my charge, red blinking light. That goes boom. Guns don't work anymore. Alright, let's keep moving. Yeah, check this out. Pretty sure that goes all the way down to the rear bulkhead.
Will has one last charge to place. He heads down the rear ladder to the ship's propeller shaft.
This is the... Oh, this ladder. All time. Got this monstrosity I've been carrying around me. I'm putting it back right next to this housing for the drive shaft. It'll blow out the bulkhead, and water will come in, the drive shaft will break, and put that thing right back in. Alright. Still gotta find some scientists.
Will follows the propeller shaft toward midship, and the area where earlier he had seen the scientists carrying the weapons crates.
This is a logistical nightmare. This fatal funnel right here. It's a huge long hallway. These guys are still on here somewhere.
Just cover the hall. We're gonna get the hell out of here. We're gonna go up the shaft. Okay. Carlos, what happened?
We're dead. What happened?
We got hit. Stefan's down.
All right, we're going topside and we're going on a hunt. We're ending this now. Let's go. One at a time.
As the Op-4 begin heading up the shaft toward the deck, Will reaches the engine room.
I love this fucking shit.
This is the scariest room ever.
You know, this is the shit that's the best.
Going everywhere. I feel like any
Silent.
second somebody's gonna pop out, light my ass up.
That guy's a
Deciding that the
Navy
intruder is likely a lone operator, the Op-4 change from a defensive to an assault strategy. They use the shaft to maintain the element of surprise as they begin their hunt. As the Op-4 exit the shaft, Will reaches the machine room.
Getting pretty smoked. It seems like at every turn, there's just gonna be a bad guy who's gonna shoot and kill me. I don't want to get shot and killed. I want them to get shot and killed. Damn. Command Central, this is Whiskey, over.
Go ahead, Whiskey.
Command Central, be advised, our pirates have killed both of our captured scientists. They are KIA. Unfortunately, I was too late to save them.
Will has failed an important part of his mission.
All right, Whiskey, time is critical. You need to make your exfil as quickly as possible so we can blow that ship.
That really sucks. All right. If I had moved a little bit faster, those guys might still be alive. Will heads for the same shaft the Op-4 used just minutes ago. Meanwhile, up on deck, the Op-4 begin their hunt.
Okay. Let's move.
Just gonna head to the shaft. Hope no crash. As long as I do this very, very quietly.
There's someone set off earlier.
Okay, coming by. Okay, both the maps are still here. Let's button this up. Head out. Rob, let's go.
Looks clear. Let's go. As Will heads forward toward his exfil point, the Op-4 leave the bridge and head down on the deck to begin their sweep toward the bow.
Just to say, earlier I did watch the Navy SEALs the silent option on the stream. Now I'm on to Will Willis special op missions.
The Op-4 sweep forward toward Will's position. And here.
Oh shit.
As the Op-4 close in, Will makes a dash for the fire line.
Hey, Carlo, at the back. Find him, move. Down the stairs. I'll get a visual. Coming across. Check on the side.
I don't have anything. Do you see anything?
I'll see.
I don't see him at all.
He's gone.
Command Central, this is Whiskey. Be advised, mission report follows. Over.
Copy, Whiskey. Go ahead.
Infiltrate pirated merchant vessel. Mission completed. Break. Place charges. Mission completed. Break. Recon nav charts. Mission completed. Break.
Copy all. Continue.
Command Central, be advised, I am arming the charges now.
Roger. Let's take out that ship.
Detonate in 3, 2, 1.
We're reading detonations, Whiskey. Good work. Good work, Whiskey.
Roger that. Whiskey out.
Operation Freebird down. Yeah, this one's a good one too.
The following is an unscripted war game carried out by highly trained military operators. Attempting these actions without proper safety supervision and training could result in severe injury or death.
Okay, but it's also up for
one elite soldier.
Whiskey, the rebels have downed one of our aircraft. You've got to find that pilot.
On a covert mission.
He's on the run. He's headed south. Let's do it.
Against a highly trained opposition force.
Hopefully they don't have one guy just waiting down for me.
In a test of military skills and tactics. Will he succeed?
This is Whiskey. Mission status is as follows. Identify weapons. Mission complete.
Few have ever known the heart-stopping intensity of sighting down the barrel of an M4 on a covert military operation. Now, see it through the eyes of Spec Ops veteran Will Willis as he competes against combat-hardened opposition in the harshest environments. With 15 years' experience as an operator, he'll need it all to complete his special ops mission. Is on a simulated mission to rescue friendly pilots downed over an enemy nation. He also must eliminate any assets that the rebels are using to target and destroy Allied planes. In this episode, smoke grenades will indicate the targets that have been destroyed. Will has reached his insertion point. He doesn't know who or what he is up against.
Don't want to be here. Too long.
Whiskey. This is Command Central, over.
Will's commander on this mission is Master Sergeant Tom Minder, who will monitor and guide Will's progress from inside a remote command center.
Command Central, Whiskey, over.
Whiskey, a rebel force has been shooting down Allied planes and taking the pilots hostage. Your mission is to disrupt enemy operations. You will wipe out their communications tower, cut them off from outside support. Then proceed to destroy their mobile radar unit and capture or destroy their missile launcher. Stay on your toes. You must also be prepared to rescue any downed pilots and keep them out of enemy hands. Command Central out.
Whiskey out. Right now, on this map, you can see I got infield right here. And I have to traverse this terrain. In this direction, that's a hilltop. This is a hilltop. This is all terrain that's ascending. So I have to gain all this altitude, continue movement to my objective, which is this hilltop that's over here. This vicinity, this comms tower. A lot of enemy activity around this area. Once I knock out their comms, then I can go after their other assets. If I start taking actions on them, and they can still call for backup, I'm screwed. So, first things first.
The enemy camp is 3 kilometers to the northeast. The opposition force, or Op 4, are beginning their patrol. They have a mobile radar unit and a comms tower, both in the southern area of their camp. They also have a house in the northeast of their camp, where suspicious activity has been reported.
Alright. In the next hour, it's going to be 6 o'clock here at Central Time, so it's 6:16. I will be making dinner at 7 o'clock.
Private military contractor in Iraq.
I know what this guy's going to be thinking, so he better be on his game and better not screw up, because if he does, we're going to be there and we're going to kill his ass.
Alan Tafoya, 16 years in law enforcement, 4.5 years in national security, and descended from Hickory Apache trackers.
Your gun jams, so what's the alternative?
Randall Ross, weapons expert, 7 years Army MD, combat ops in Iraq.
When I'm playing a game like this, I have to win. It's just the way I go, you know, go hard or go home.
Stephen Watanabe, U.S. Army Scout, combat operations and reconnaissance in Iraq.
These bastards that are trying to cross us, they're dead. They get my sights, they're dead.
The Op 4 don't know how many operators they'll be up against, or when they will strike. but they do know that they need to develop a strategy to protect their assets. Meanwhile, Will is on the move, only 1 kilometer from his objective, and making steady progress.
Anytime that you have a ravine, the terrain has a tendency to force you to drop down into that ravine, and that's something that I want to avoid. I want to travel, not on the crests, not at the bottoms, somewhere in between there. That way I have good avenues of escape up if I get attacked from low, and I can haul ass down if I get attacked from the top.
Yeah, true.
Will and the OPFOR are both armed with military-issued assault weapons, M4s and M16s.
You can go semi-auto and knock off a lot of rounds, and then you can snipe off too.
It's an M16. It's good for mid-range combat. It is a very reliable weapon.
They're loaded with simunition, a non-lethal alternative to live ammunition that leaves a visible mark on impact. Available only to military and elite law enforcement, simunition is the closest thing to the real deal.
Oh, baby!
Yeah. When the scenario begins, eye protection must be worn at all times. And in normal training exercises, total head protection is also required. In this conflict, 1 shot to the torso equals a kill shot.
Right over here. Check it. Probably about 500 meters away, which means I have to cross through this. And you can see the rocks kind of come up like cliffs on the other side. So now I'm going to be able to negotiate all these obstacles.
The OPFOR must protect assets over a 4 square kilometer area.
What I was thinking was maybe you guys could drive up there, check it out, drive back down, and then get up there and just sit and watch.
So you're thinking about every half hour, do a little patrol up there, take one of the vehicles?
Yeah, just randomly, you know?
Yeah.
Just randomly.
Because the OPFOR don't know what they're up against, and they can't cover all their assets at the same time, their strategy for guarding them is to execute random patrols. 2 of the OPFOR are on their way to check on the radar unit.
We're going to dismount. I'm going to be point. Make sure you turn around and watch our rear. Make sure this thing's not getting jacked. All right. All we're going to do is just go up there. All right. That's what they call an ID line. You can't see over the edge, and it's a bend. Prime for ambush. I'm going to be ahead. Give me 15 yards. So if anything happens, I'll have time to lay fire, and we'll bound back. If I do get fire, you're going to step off a little bit, and I'm going to run straight down this road. All right, we're going to stand this side for right now. Okay. Push back a little bit just so we have eyes on the truck. I'm going to push forward and just check it out.
With 2 of the OPFOR at the radar unit and the other 2 guarding their base camp, Will has a window of opportunity.
There's my dinner right here. One of the hardest things to do when you're coming up with something like this is to control your breathing and heart rate. If your heart rate gets too high, the adrenaline starts pumping too high. What ends up happening is your vision narrows. My vision would narrow, and I get really small. Operating world tunnel vision. So, the way I do it is I just make my airway best as big as possible. I'm pulling air through my mouth, through my nose. Just so that my lungs can get as much O2 as possible. My heart rates. Getting too excited.
Alright. Guys, pretty... we don't have that much time to be up on here just watching this with you guys, so I am going to turn this off pretty soon. I'm only 9 minutes in, almost 10.
So having checked the mobile radar dish, the patrol returns to their base camp.
I'm a-going.
Tell you the truth, I think I'm going to finish this out. I can actually cook dinner right now.
Yeah, they're moving around quite a bit over there. Right there, underneath that tree, center mass of my screen. Here's the bad guy tit.
There's some bad guys down there. Okay, let's put on a show. Heads up. Smoke's out. Alright, I just blew up that comms tower. See it in the background there? Freaking getting the hell out of here. They're gonna be a place.
Oh man, they hit the comms tower.
Wanna go to the ditch?
Yeah.
The Op 4 mobilize their entire team and head to their compromised asset, hoping to find signs that will tell them what size force they're up against.
We need to get up there. Alan, you roll with me. You gotta spread it out. Let's get up there.
Alright, listen, guys. Let's not disturb the tracks. Alan, you look for tracks. Follow Alan, just pull security for it. Look back down the hill and see if you can see any movement. Keep your eyes open. There could be an ambush waiting.
Hopefully they're flooding toward that objective. Hoping to pick up my tracks or something. I did some anti-tracking techniques. I did some hopping from rock to rock. Most of the way down the hill. Zigging and zagging. Hopefully that throws them off. A good tracker will be able to predict where the hell I'm going and take appropriate action. Hopefully they don't have a good tracker.
Boss, see tracks. I think he stayed on the rocks to cover his tracks.
Smart.
Cut him through here. He was here. Come this way in the rocks. See? Right here. I can't tell if he knelt down or just staggered.
We're gonna be running, that's gonna leave a bigger print.
He's cutting south.
Alright, guys, check it out. We only got one set of prints up here, so I'm guessing we're up against only one single operator.
He's on the run. He's headed south.
Having completed his first objective, Will is evading the Op 4 pursuit. He's looking for an opportunity to make an assault on his next objective, the radar unit.
Whiskey, Command Central. Listen up, Whiskey.
Whiskey, go ahead.
Whiskey, the rest is down one aircraft. The pilot is parachuted into enemy territory. You've got to find that pilot. Call sign Badger 11 and get him to safety. He's executing his EPA right now and heading for his rendezvous point. We'll send you his ISOPREP by encrypted email. Okay, Whiskey.
Roger that. Whiskey out.
Command Central out.
So I have to move into a more secure location in order to review this secure email, encrypted email.
The Op 4 have been given the coordinates for where the pilot went down.
We're gonna all get in a wedge formation so we can spread out and everybody get eyes on different sectors. And we're gonna go ahead and look for this guy.
The Op 4 are focused on their primary mission, capturing the pilot of the downed plane. This might also be their best opportunity to get the jump on the special operator who destroyed their communications tower.
Hey, there's a parachute at your head. Hey, stop right here. By 11 o'clock.
Alan, push it up over there. Get behind cover. Right now we're going after the down pilot. He's probably injured or could be injured, so he's going to be slower. He's not going to be moving as proficiently, and he's not as skilled as the hit and run specialist that's out there. So, you know, I would like to go after him, but sometimes the mission's got to come first.
Shoot's right here.
Well, he went through the trees. That's why he trooped to hell. Another party went and picked him up.
Okay. Email's open. Looks like I got a down pilot I gotta pick up. He's on the move now to his pickup site. I try to rendezvous with this guy at his pickup site. I'm just one guy. Now I have to move overland with a pilot in tow. He's got a broken leg. I'm screwed. Alright.
Go ahead.
Tracks on this side. Goes to river there.
Roger, good copy. We're going to provide cover for you. Take a look at your tracks.
Looking at that chute over there. I thought maybe he might be injured, but just looking at the way he's walking, I don't see him dragging his feet or anything, so he's not staggering, he's walking pretty straight. It looks like he's going in a south to southeast direction. I guess he's doing pretty good, because what I'm beginning to see right here is his strides getting wider, so he's kind of breaking into kind of like a slight jog, or his footprints are getting wider.
So basically, I'm over here, okay? I've got the coordinates for my pilot. I see he's in the opposite direction from the radar dish. See the dish is here, and the pilot's here. But that doesn't matter. He's now my primary mission. I've got to get him before anybody else does.
What's up, boss?
Roger, what do you got down there?
There's more tracks down here. The tracks lead south, down into the canyon.
Okay, Roger. Just regroup back up here on me, and we'll redeploy from here.
I think we should go after them now. The tracks are fresh. Come on. Let me at them.
Negative. Can't afford to lose you. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Come on back, and we'll redeploy the team.
You're the boss. I'm headed back up.
I just can't allow him to just roll out there and go after the trail, because you could easily track yourself into a hasty ambush, and we can't afford to lose any guys at this point.
All right, let's go get a pilot. Okay, I'm still gonna treat this guy. Let's see. Just be watching him. I might need my pilot from as far away as possible. If the bad guys get there first, they could set up a decoy to suck me in. Try to use him as bait. Or they could be watching him, and I could walk into an ambush. So I do this very carefully, step by step.
All right, guys, check it out. Alan, he came across some prints down there heading south, one single set, so that's probably our down pilot, but he could have already hooked up with the operator that's out there. They're in the area, so be careful, but we need to move fast. We're gonna split up. Randall, Steven, you guys follow the tracks down the riverbed. Me and Alan are gonna go up the top of the hill, so we can provide overwatch for you, as well as keep an eye out on the other side of the valley. So keep your head on a swivel, be careful, and let's see what we got down there. Any questions? Let's move out.
The Op 4 suspect the pilot is already rendezvoused with his rescuer and is making his escape. But the pilot is actually in a hide site, just 350 meters south of the Op 4. And Will is closing in on him. Okay, there he is. At least I hope it's him. I've got his freaks, so let's give him a ring. Badger 1-1, Badger 1-1, whiskey, whiskey.
Badger 1-1, go ahead, whiskey, whiskey.
I'm coming up on you now. Don't panic. And just stay calm. Roger. Identified you visually. Okay. Any injuries? I got a hurt shoulder. Hurt shoulder? Any other injuries? Having difficulty breathing?
No.
Anything like that? What about, can you walk?
Yeah,
How well? No broken ankles, nothing like that?
No, it's been good.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Real quick, watch that shoulder. I'm gonna use this survival vest to kind of sling your arm up. Okay, so where did you land?
Somewhere right in here.
Right there?
Yeah.
And then where did you evade?
Went south. Came down along.
Okay.
This way.
Okay. So right now, right, we're approximately right here. If bad guys are tracking, they're coming down this way. We've got some good terrain here. All right, so what I'm planning on doing is moving around behind these guys and just maneuvering through here. They've got a pretty good encampment. We might beeline it over to this area and come up this way.
Can you follow me? All right, keep it tight. And if you need me to slow up or anything, just let me know. Okay. Get hit?
No, I got it. Okay.
Command Central, Command Central. Whiskey, whiskey, water.
Whiskey, whiskey, Command Central. Go. Command Central, be advised. I have secured Badger 1-1.
We are on the move to our exfil.
Roger that, Whiskey.
Good job. Continue to exfil. Command Central out.
First, Will decides to remain undetected and make his escape with the injured pilot.
I didn't ambush him because there was nothing in it for me. I got into a firefight with those guys, and they win. They get the pilot, which is bad business all the way around. And the risk wasn't worth the reward for me. I don't win anything if I shoot them.
Whiskey, whiskey, this is Command Central, over.
This is Whiskey, whiskey, go ahead.
Aerial reconnaissance confirms that a dirty bomb's been brought into the enemy camp.
They're storing it in an adobe hut to the north side. You will find and destroy that bomb. Break.
In addition, the rebels have a Stinger missile launcher. We have reason to believe they're keeping the weapon in their vehicle. You will neutralize that weapon.
I'll copy, over.
Command Central, be advised, Whiskey, whiskey does have an injured pilot in hand.
Roger that, Whiskey. I'm aware of that. Continue mission, over.
How do you feel about that? Feeling up for it?
I guess so.
Well,
I have a choice.
not really.
One, this is 4. It looks like the tracks circled around to the north, and then we lost them. So we're just gonna head back and skirt along the east side of the road. Over.
Roger. We gotta get down there and check on our northern assets.
Hey, Alan, why don't you stay up here as an overwatch, and I'll go down there and link up with them. Sound good?
4-3, you want to move down and head to LB?
The Op 4 leave Alan on the hilltop to keep eyes on their movement in case they draw out the enemy. Will and the pilot are also moving to high ground to scope out their next objective.
Okay, I got 2 movement on the road. Can't tell if they go.
Down low here?
No, up high. Run the road all the way up.
I see him.
Oh, wait a second. I see the hut.
Yeah, I see it too.
See it on the corner there, the left ass?
Yeah.
Poking out there, yeah.
So right now, we're the predators. They're the prey. Come get our bait.
Definitely hungry, ready for a kill today. Just can't wait to get some action.
Okay, Steve, you go ahead and pull security. Me and Randall are gonna go up and do a quick sweep.
Got that dirty bomb.
We got Big Bertha.
Let's sweep the footprints. We're erasing all our tracks. Next time we come here, we'll be able to tell somebody else was here.
Command Central, Whiskey, whiskey. We are approximately 250 meters southeast of the
the adobe hut break. There are two, I repeat, two opposition forces there at this time. Break. It doesn't look pretty.
While Will waits for an opportunity to strike at his next objective, one hilltop to the north, Alan is at his observation post.
See, the birds are making noises right down here. And one trick that we do at home is we'll throw rocks to spook out anything out there. So say if I spooked out an elk, people are going to divert their attention to where the elk's running, and then I treat the opposite direction.
Observation post to join the others. Across the ravine, Will is looking for a clear shot.
Go ahead.
How close are you to the road?
Maybe about 3 minutes.
Roger, good copy.
He's about near 2 o'clock right now. A little faster, lucky slong. It's gonna come around the rock any minute now. It's coming around.
Stay down, you're down. Stay there.
Stay right there, don't move.
Got you, right? Got you in the back. Did you feel it?
Right in the back. Yeah, there it is.
All right, you're down. Don't make comms with anybody.
Badger 101, Badger 101. Get on your horse, let's go.
Copy that, driving back. I'm
Negative.
2, this is 1. Let us know when you hit the road. 2, this is 1.
1, let us know when you hit the road.
Right now, you're on me coming down this road. Let's see if I can show you. There it is, right there. There it is. Right now, please don't move. Probably coming over for this guy we just killed. Let's go ahead and get the hell out of here.
Looks like our OP got busted. That's bad.
Yeah. What if his battery died?
Well, that's possible, but we still got to find him. So let's get back down there. His last known position. We'll start from there. Steve,
What's that?
keep giving to a ring.
2, this 4.
I'm worried that our guy would call. You know?
He's not answering his radio. He would have been here by now. Last communications we had with him said he was only 2 or 3 minutes away. Something obviously wrong's happened.
That's good. Steve, go ahead on point.
While the Op 4 search for their missing operator, Will is monitoring their movement with his stolen radio.
1-4. He got captured or killed over here. I don't want to put this trail.
Roger, I was thinking we can get up here where we can see where this wood line is and then just start heading south.
So push up this mountain?
Just a little bit. I just wanted to see where the wood line ended.
It's about 50 meters in front of me.
Roger. Okay. Hang left and let's head south.
Alright. The Op 4 radio is a huge advantage. It sounds like they're pushing through the wood line over there. And they're actually heading south. We're heading north, towards their objective area. Hopefully they don't have one guy just waiting out for me. I would be really upset if one guy freaking took me out at this point. We're gonna go check it out. Let's see what we can see when we get up there. Alright, I'm at the building. So, I'll curse around and walk around. Booby traps are a big concern right now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Check this out. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna try not to go in. It's a weapon of mass destruction. A dirty bomb of some kind. Don't go in. Don't go in. Stay out. Stay out. Could be booby trapped. Back out. Back out. The Op 4 haven't found any trace of Alan, their missing tracker.
He wouldn't have came any more north of here. He was right up there. So,
Is this where he was at?
all right, let's double time it back to the Humvee, and we gotta get back and check on our dirty bomb. Sound good? All right, let's move. So let's do this. Double time it back to our dirty bomb. Get ready.
They're on their way. Giving up the search for Alan, the Op 4 quickly head back to cover their assets. Smoke. Mark. See that? See the building's marked. He's just here.
All right, guys. Was Alan coming up missing, not answering his radio? I thought maybe his battery went dead. And he just kind of got disoriented or something. But this thing just got blown up. So I think less than every move we've been making. So we gotta change freaks.
Change your up and freak right now, you got it? All right, listen up, guys. They're gone. Our dirty bomb's done. We're traveling too fast. We don't know what direction they went. They could have went back. They could have went to the east. They could have went northeast. You know, it's just too much to try to... We're not going to track them down. Our only option now is to set up shop and wait on them.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's go check on those sites. It's a cat and mouse game. We've been the cat for a while. Now it's time to play the mouse.
While the Op 4 pull back to a defensive position near their encampment, Will and the pilot are on the move, planning their exfil strategy.
That big mountain right there, just on the other side of that, we gotta cross that to get back into friendly territory. So we're gonna move. I want you just stay beside me, and I'll watch our 6 last signal and have you take a shot in the back. You know, when it could have been me.
Between our assets against us. They do something, we chase them. We chase them, they're already out of the area. So that game's over. Now we just gotta adjust to a different game.
While the Op 4 begin to adjust their strategy, Will and his pilot approach the rebel base camp.
There's the Humvee. And with the Stinger to the side of it. We're walking through a pretty clear open area, but that's because I want to make good time. I am really hauling ass. Might even be a little too fast for this pilot's taste. But he's just gonna have to buck up. Alright, we got a Humvee coming by this base camp over here. We're getting really close.
Hoping for the wind to die down a little bit and it's turn night so we can hear them. We know they're over there. They're on that side of the road. I wish the vegetation was thicker, quite honestly, because they'll be making a lot of sounds. I think our best bet right now is to wait on them.
Wondering if they're freaking consolidating, reorganizing. They might have their weapons off, they're changing their clothes, walking like that. Might be a good time just to get in there and wipe them all out.
Will knows that at sunset, forces usually transition into night operations gear. Hoping to catch the rebels off guard during the changeover, Will decides to make his move.
You're just gonna stay in. Alright, you got my pack. It's got water, it's got food in it. Okay, if this doesn't come off, you'll be able to grab that pack, sling it over one shoulder, and take off. I'm gonna try to get us a vehicle. It's got the Stinger in it. You come in this guy. Yeah. You sure? I guess I don't have a choice. You don't have a choice.
Will is planning to confront the rebels head-on. While it's an unconventional and dangerous strategy, if successful, it will provide the means for a rapid exfil.
Badger 1-1, this is Whiskey. I got a Humvee, I'm coming to you. Coming at you with mine now. Come on, let's go. Badger, hurry up. Looks like I got my Stinger missiles. You're in the Humvee. Come on, man. You all right? Let's go, let's roll. Hang on. Good job, all right, man. Hang on in butt. Command center, this is Whiskey.
Go ahead, Whiskey.
Be advised, after action report follows.
Objective 1, infiltrate enemy AO. Destroy comms tower. Objective complete. Break.
Objective 2, recover Badger 1-1. Objective complete. Break.
Objective 3, destroy dirty bomb. Objective complete. Break.
Objective 4, exfil with Badger 1-1. Objective complete. Copy.
Solid copy, Whiskey. 4 objectives completed, and you're exfilling in the Rebels Humvee. Outstanding work.
Roger that. Move exfil.